We're good.
We're starting now with a roll call.
Roll call. Megan, Samps, Emily, Elizabeth, Brandon, Cambria, Natalie, Jessica, Blake, Taylor, Kimberly, Tara, Janelle, Kathleen, Evan, Kiana, Scott, Molly, Kate, Christopher, Keely, Britt, Debbie, Stefania, Katie, Kimberly, Angelina, Ashley, William, Lisa, Kiralee, Jacqueline, Michael, Jillian, Chloe, Daphne, Tevin, Victoria, Brianna, Shanna, Ryan, Jessica, Teresa, Tish, and Allison.
Oh my goodness. Our lovely, lovely patrons. And depending on if we edited that, there was like some coughs and things in there. And Michelle and I are both, wait for it, sick.
What? Happy Coldmas, everyone.
It's Coldmas. It's just unreal. And I'm so like frustrated I could cry. So I'm not going to talk about it anymore. But, you know, if we have some pauses, that would be why. We wanted to start this episode with thanking our patrons, our wonderful, wonderful Betties that pledge to us each month, most of them for years. And we wanted to shout them out, give them our thanks. And we just want to remind you, if that's something that interests you, joining our Patreon, we have just a great Discord chat is like the biggest perk that we offer currently. It's like this group chat that goes on and on and on.
24/7.
24/7. We also offer our recording schedule. I don't think we've ever talked about this really. It's just kind of like this unsaid perk that we give to our patrons. So on the top of our Patreon page, pinned is our calendar. This time we did it for the whole year. So in real time, we update it if we take a break, if we, you know, are recording on a different night. So that is exclusive to our patrons. So if you want to make sure you get your questions in for a specific episode, join our Patreon. That way you can just see when we're recording. If you ever have a question too, you can always DM us. But our entire Patreon recording, our entire recording schedule is on Patreon.
And another perk, I know we've mentioned before in other podcasts, I don't know if we mentioned here, you do get the episodes a day early, sometimes days before, just depending on when they're out, but always a day before. And so that way you get your content sooner. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and then that way you can formulate those questions and send them whenever you're done listening.
That's right.
All right, so we are liars, obviously. I mean, look at us. We Are Liars podcast. It's a Pretty Little Liars podcast. If you're new, welcome. I'm Liz.
And I'm Michelle.
And we hope you're going to just stay tuned to us discussing this random episode if you're just joining us. But it's season 2, episode 7, titled Surface Tension. This episode aired July 26, 2011, written by Joseph Doherty and directed by Norman Buckley. The summary is that Ezra, and this one, guys, by the way, I created myself, because the summary had nothing to do with anything in the episode. Ezra and Jason are invited to a dinner party at the Montgomerys and compete for Aria's attention. Mike is finally caught for his B&E stents, and Toby finds something buried on the property line that shouldn't be there.
Wow.
What did you think?
I felt a lot of things in this episode, some confusion.
Oh, well, hopefully I can clear some up. Maybe.
Yeah, you will. Like with the Hastings situation.
Okay.
And the hockey stick and poor Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb was looking pretty cute. And I actually wanted the dinner scene to be more awkward.
Did you?
Yeah, because
I know, it was a little.
We didn't get enough of it.
It was little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go into it. The Montgomerys, as I said last week, are throwing a small, seemingly boring party. It's supposed to be their friends, but really nobody can come except for this one couple that just had a baby, and they're like not wanting to leave the baby for more than 5 minutes. So Ezra gets invited by Byron because Byron feels like, hey, Ezra's new to the campus. He doesn't really know anyone. This will be a good idea because the other co-worker will be there and they can chat. He tells Ezra that he can invite a +1 and tells Aria, like, you should get used to calling him Mr., not Mr. Fitz anymore. You should get used to calling him Ezra because it's not a conflict of interest anymore. Like, let's not like invite this
right
into her life.
I know.
Obviously they know nothing, but
I thought that was just
it's
like
weird.
It's an awkward remark to say. You got, like Ella said it, you have to get used to calling him Ezra.
Ezra.
Why?
Right. Like, she doesn't have to get used to calling him Ezra because...
Is he going to be around that
Right.
much?
Like, he's not going to be Byron's new best friend. So what do we need that for?
Yeah, it was weird.
Mike wanted to know if we, in the past when we were younger, were invited to hang out at our parents' parties or were we told to leave?
My parents hosted their friends every Saturday night growing up. Saturday morning consisted of my dad going to work and my mom and me and my sister going to like the local stores to get a candy tray, to pick up cake from the bakery. And they had friends over every Saturday night and they would give us dessert, but mostly it was like, you got to go to the other room.
So you didn't have to leave the house. I mean, if you were old enough, would you have to leave?
No, but I wasn't around when old enough, like hang out with friends or in my room. But as a kid, you overhear what's happening and you try to like go in the other room and they're like, okay, go watch a movie or.
Yeah, I can't really remember any of my parents having parties at my house. So, I mean, definitely not like, they would usually like go out or it'd be like at someone else's house. It wasn't normally at my house. But like, as I got older, like I would hang out with them, but not like for the entire time.
Yeah. And then holiday parties we were always a part of.
Yeah.
They always had Christmas Eve parties.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that this was like their kind of like debut or like coming out party of them being a couple again. And so they want their kids to be there.
It also was weird too because it's one other couple.
Right. They like obviously didn't either plan it in advance enough or nobody wanted to go.
Yeah, for this to be like the big deal of like the debut, it didn't feel that way. I don't know. It was like, this is kind of an underwhelming. It's a dinner. It's not really a party.
Exactly. It's a dinner party. And it was just very awkward because it's literally one couple and then Ezra and Jason. So we'll get to Jason, but Ezra and Aria have a brief conversation. She's like, please don't go. It's going to be super awkward. And Ezra's like, on the contrary, I feel like we should show them like us, like getting used to them being in the same room and chatting like they were just a normal couple.
No, because I feel like they would just be like, oh, Aria is able to hold a conversation. They're not going to think anything of it. They would just be like, oh, how nice was it that Ezra came? He's such a nice guy. They're not going to be like, oh, wow, you two have such chemistry.
Right. I don't know what he was expecting. I think he just was like anything to hang out with her.
Yeah.
Or like just anything to push this forward a little bit. And he's like, Bus, I'm not bringing anyone. Like, it won't be awkward for you there. I would have loved for him to have brought Jackie.
Or for Baron to bring Jackie.
I know. She would have stirred the shit.
It just, that's not what this episode
was. Not yet.
Yeah.
And then to stir it up more, Aria goes to see her mom, who is talking to Jason because Jason now is going to basically help out some troubled teens, like shadow the guidance counselor, these kids, to show them that there's life after high school, which I really appreciate, actually. I feel like that's a really good job for him to kind of like get himself.
Yeah.
He seems to like be wise, even though he just was I guess like when you're a fuck up kid, you grow, and he has grown up and he feels like he can give his advice to other kids. And I feel like that's really admirable. And so Ella feels badly and she invites Jason to the dinner, and then Aria pulls her aside. And she's like, what are you doing? And she's like, he's Allie's brother. He's new at school again and new in town again. And why not? Like, doesn't seem like he's so bad.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Aria's like shitting a brick now because she's like, Jason's going to be there. Yeah. So the dinner party is happening. It's, as I said, extremely awkward and small because it's just this couple who's chatting up with Byron and Ella. And then Aria, no Mike to be found. We'll get to him in a second. But Ezra walks in with flowers, seemingly, I guess, for Ella, and a scotch for Byron. The liquor store apparently told him that was Byron's favorite, but Ezra hates it, but he lied and said that was his favorite.
Yeah.
And then moments later, Jason comes in and he also brings flowers, I guess, for Ella, but gives them to Aria, which I was like, oh, that was cute.
I noticed that.
And Ezra clocks it right away.
Ezra is so tuned in
to
her and Jason's not tuned in to her and Ezra
at all.
Oh, because why would he be? She didn't give off any
vibes
to Ezra.
She didn't. But she didn't give off vibes to Jason that in that way either. But I mean, how would you feel if this like 20-something guy who seemingly knows Aria walks in and you are not official, so nobody knows that you guys are together, and like,
right, yeah, mm-hmm.
You know, I would be upset, I would be scared, but he really has no chill on his face whatsoever. Clearly jealous. I mean, look at the guy when you compare apples to oranges. It's like,
yeah, I mean, both
you know, they're, as
guys.
we said last week, which I thought was a great representation, it's Dean and Jess. It's really what it is. But in like an elevated, ridiculously drama-filled way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just then a knock is at the door, and Officer Barry, who we've seen a couple of times, he's like the resident cop in town, tells Aria that she needs to get her parents and that Mike was caught breaking and entering another house. So now they arrested him and they have to pick him up at the station, and Ella and Byron are like, shit. So they leave, they pick him up. They both have completely different parenting styles when it comes to him. Like Byron's very firm, very, you know, he's kind of mean and forward at Mike. Like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? And Ella's like, probably not the best way to approach this. Like, has to be a reason as to why he's doing it. So it's a very weird silent drive home. But we pan back to the Montgomerys, and then the couple has left. They're like, oh no, this is our perfect excuse to get out of here.
Go see the baby.
And then I'm like, okay, so Aria, Ezra, and Jason are now stuck in the house. Neither of them were told to go home. So it makes it very obvious to me and the viewers, like, they want to stick around, obviously, for Aria.
And Ezra's waiting, obviously, for Jason
to get out so he
Jason,
can like be with Aria.
I think doesn't even think of that. He's just like, oh, I'll just be here for support.
Right. Like he's always also thinking about Aria and how he can help Aria. And so what I thought was interesting is Aria says to Ezra, I don't need help cleaning up. Just like, don't do anything. And then when Jason tells her, you need to sit down, she sits down.
I know, right away.
I know. And I'm like, oh, and I think Ezra clocks it too. And he's like,
sure.
So he asks Aria, he's like, who is he? And Aria's like, that's just Allie's brother. And he's like waiting for more. And she's like, that's it.
Like, he's like, I know that, but why is he here? And it's like, oh, our moms are friends.
And like,
there's history.
History. He's got that on you, dude. I'm sorry. He's got that.
Yeah.
And Ezra doesn't like it.
I don't want to beat the dead horse, right? Because I say it. If he was just a little younger,
I know.
I would really be into this.
I
would really be into this.
Yeah.
I might be into it a little bit more than her and Ezra.
Yeah. I'm definitely into it more than her and Ezra, but that's because I'm pretending like I don't know how old he is. Okay. I also just don't know how old he is. Again, the dead horse thing. Because
I know.
We don't know.
I know we don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Aria and Jason talk about she can't believe it. Mike told me he would stop. And Jason's like, hey, like he probably meant it at the time. He just gets himself wrapped in these things. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, you know, if she had this so-called relationship, Ezra would know about Mike breaking into people's houses because don't you talk about that with your significant other?
You would think.
But he doesn't know. And then Aria says, you know what, you guys need to leave. Finally. And then they're awkwardly, I love this scene. They're both just like, wait, you want me to leave? And Ezra's like, oh, both of us? I'm like, Ezra, make it any more obvious to Jason. But maybe Jason's just not catching on. And so they both just stand outside the door. They're all staring at each other like, well, all right, good night.
It's so awkward. And I almost thought Ezra was going to turn around and be like, hey, I'm still here. But he ends up leaving.
He leaves.
Because he kind of.
Yeah, he was like, all right.
Back. Yeah.
So Aria immediately runs upstairs because she's like, what has Mike been taking from these people? She finds the camping equipment, and then OMG, perfectly, she finds the pottery, the globe, the whatever it is that Jenna made during their pottery class together. And she's like, oh my God. So when she approaches Mike, she's like, why would you steal from a blind girl? And I'm like, well, it's not like,
I know, right?
Come on, Aria.
Yeah.
You're definitely not the one to be saying that. But like, she's a blind girl, and he's like, I definitely didn't take that from her. I know exactly whose houses I go to and exactly whose things I take. And then he says that he went to, it was from Garrett's house, which was like the big reveal, which I mean, as the audience, we know that they're seeing each other, but this confirms for Aria that like, oh shit, Garrett and Jenna are mixed and like somehow.
We can't trust him.
Right. Kate mentions, though, what do you think is going on with Mike? And the scene where he says that he was planning on to steal a gun or something like that to get out of town. Like, that seems very concerning.
Yeah, and we kind of just brushed over that. And
just
she didn't even pause. She's more fixated on, oh my God, you stole Jenna's pottery.
Yep.
Yeah, that was really, really strange.
Very upsetting, you know, very just...
Yes.
It's eerie and sad, and the fact that the writers are just like, yeah, we'll just mention that part about a gun, but not go into it any further.
How does Aria not question that? Like, did she not hear it? Did she block that out because she is so fixated on
I think
everything's like connecting in her brain now?
Yeah.
Jenna, Garrett, her in pottery class, Jenna knowing it was her in pottery. Like,
yeah, she's doing all the math.
All the math. But the gun thing, do we go back to that or you don't remember?
Mike with a gun? I don't think so.
Like, how do you just drop that line in? Because I held on to it.
Yeah. And I don't even see, I mean, back in the day, I don't even obviously remember them mentioning that. But it did stick out to me this time. And then when Kate said it, I made sure to like pay attention to it again when I watched. I was like, oh yeah, they just like throw it in there. And that's it. And like Ella said, like he's obviously doing this for a reason. Like he's troubled. We don't even talk about why. I mean, at least not yet.
Yeah, Aria thinks that maybe it's because it's her fault and that he's not getting enough attention from her and their dad.
Which, valid, but
yeah,
I don't know if that's it.
Again, we don't see too much and we didn't see too much, but I feel like we should have saw maybe more tension in the household.
Right, like them paying attention to Aria more. Or I mean, I guess they did, but they don't really show... They haven't shown Ella and Byron in a while. Like, we had a lot of the Hastings so far... and Pam and Ashley. And it's really Ella and Byron on the back burner. So I guess that's why they did this episode with them.
I guess. I just feel like they made up pretty early. They went to that art show, remember? And they're like in the car together. And they've been on good graces ever since. So it just doesn't seem like... But again, we haven't seen all of it. We have to like be under the assumption that more is going on,
right?
That Mike's going through and we're just not seeing,
right?
But then like why bring it to the surface of a story for us to watch?
Yeah,
I mean, unless this ties into the A of it, which I guess is just throwing us off a little bit, why bother?
Right. Yeah, I
don't know.
I also love during this episode too how just like Aria is putting the pieces together, Ella is putting the pieces together. And I'm like, finally, like someone is realizing that something is not right here.
I loved this so much. And also just the fact that they're so not trusting of the Hastings.
I know. That's like the season 2 storyline is like, let's make them real shady, you know? So Ella even questions Aria like, are you okay after the fashion show? Like, I can't believe someone would do such a thing. And Aria just kind of brushes it over. But when Ella meets with Ashley later, she's like, what do you chalk this up to? And Ashley at first is like, I don't know. Do you think it's just like a bully? And Ella's like, this is not like any bully I've ever dealt with. And then Ashley's like, you're right. Like, this person could have hit Hannah with her car and then the Ian stuff and then this thing and that thing. And so they're like, we feel like we're just everything's getting pushed under the rug because the Hastings have this reputation and they don't want the public to realize like maybe their kids are, you know, not perfect.
Yeah.
And like that Peter was the one to orchestrate the therapy and separating them and all of that. So they're like, they specifically say Peter because I'm like, oh, we have to like really shed this poor light on him.
Yeah.
You know,
this was so refreshing. And so fun to see.
Yeah.
The two of them getting together. And I love that they even mentioned, have you talked to Pam? No, she went to Texas.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, have you talked to Hastings? And then the look of just like ugh, you know.
Right.
We can't. And I was like, this is amazing. Like the mothers are tuned in.
Yeah. Finally.
Yes.
Like, I guess maybe they have been this whole time. Like, but... there hasn't been like it's just everything's been so crazy.
Yeah, and we're more focused on the girls.
Right.
Not so much the moms talking about what's going on.
Right. Yeah. All right, over to the Hastings. We have to talk about them and this whole juicy storyline with Toby. So he's been offered this like construction job on their property. It seems their property is pretty big. And I love they have this like map. And Kate had mentioned, like, why do you think they showed us this map?
Yeah, this was so weird. This is one of the things I was kind of confused
like the
about.
blueprints of the Hastings property. So we see that, you know, there's the gate, and then the main house is in there with the barn, and then there's like a potential, what were they gonna build?
They're building a fence, no?
They wanted to build a fence,
But they're not building a fence.
something like that. Anyway, they get Toby on this project, and he's just basically like clearing the brush, and
Right.
you know, Peter says to him, like, I'm happy you're doing this. I appreciate your work ethic. And like, I also want you to know that I'm sorry that I accused you falsely. So progress there.
Mm-hmm.
Kate had mentioned the map, and she felt like, why did we show the audience this map? Because when she was comparing like handwriting, she's like, I don't know if they're trying to throw you off, but like some of the letters look like the A notes. And I'm like, are they trying to make it look like you're confused if Toby is involved? Or something like that.
Wow.
I'm like, I don't know if they were going there, that, and at least
But
not right
I
now.
love
But
that thought.
right? And she's like, do you think this teen architect story is going anywhere?
I mean, well, it's funny. And it's like part of my resolutions of things not to say anymore on podcasts and to compare. But Toby was giving me major Ryan Atwood vibes in this episode of just how he dealt with Peter, the whole architect situation.
You're right.
The work, and
you're right.
standing
Actually,
up, like just being like the really good, strong boned guy. And that's, again, I'm trying not to compare other. But it's a compliment. It's a compliment. It's not like I'm not shitting on one, and I'm like, oh no, like Toby's like becoming one of my favorites. But
yeah,
I guess it's just showing Toby offers more.
Right. He's not who we originally thought he was.
Exactly.
Which is so nice to see, and, you know, makes Peter feel good that Spencer has a good partner, and that he really is moving on with his life. And so he starts the project early, and he starts digging into the back part of the property, which is like the property line of the Hastings house and the De Laurentiis house. And so while he's digging, he finds this piece of broken field hockey stick that's painted with white and blue, and etched in it is Hastings. And he's like, what the hell? And he has no time to process it, because then Peter comes over.
This was so random. Peter just appears. You don't hear him coming.
Appears. I know, you would think you would hear all these leaves crunching.
I know. It's just like a ghost in a suit hovering.
Right? Yeah. And so Peter's like, what is that you got there? Oh, it's nothing. Let me take it. Forget it ever happened. And Toby's like, obviously I can't do that.
Right.
Like, what the hell is this? So when Spencer and Toby see each other later, he immediately, of course, tells her about it. And now she's freaked out, because she's like, I can't believe that, like, this was buried. And also, I'm trying to remember now of where the last time I saw this stick was. And she has a flashback of giving it to Allison so that Allison could like pretend to be into field hockey, because we're assuming she's trying to impress Ian because he was the field hockey coach, because girls play field hockey and boys don't.
Right.
So she wouldn't be, unless she was trying to impress a girl, because it seems she might be
right.
lean both ways, whichever.
This flashback was incredibly cringy though.
Oh yeah.
Like when Jason comes out and he's like,
Mom wants you.
And she goes, for what? So that's even that was me being like a really good actress right there. It was like the way she said it was so bad. It felt like we're pretending to be in theater.
Oh.
It was really,
you had a hard time with
I had a hard time with that flashback, and I laughed.
Yeah. I think I was just so like zoomed in on like this hockey stick thing that I didn't even, but I'm sure you're correct.
It was bad. Real bad.
Yeah. But then it's like the dialogue again is like unnecessary. Jason says, Allie, Mom's looking for you. And she's like, for what? Right? And he's like, I don't know. I don't want to be the messenger.
Right. Yeah.
And like they're so angry with each other. For what reason? Like, we don't know. And then he's like, what you got here? And like pretends, but not in a nice, funny way, like pretends to hit her with it. And then in a second later, she actually tries to hit him with it, and he catches the stick in his hand. He's like, oh, next time, like, I won't miss or whatever.
Yeah.
Not good. And then
Not
Spencer
good,
is
not
like
good.
remembering this, and she's telling Aria, like, Jason's no good. Like, do you remember this situation?
Yeah.
And at that point, Aria's like, well, I had him at my house. Like,
He is good.
he is good. I believe in him. But when Spencer remembers this, she's like, I can't believe my dad just took it and acted so weird. Then we have a really quick scene with Peter and Toby, and he sees Toby, and he's like, hey, you're not going to mention this to Spencer, right? And he's like, too late. Like, of course, like, he didn't lie. He didn't say no, Spencer knows nothing. He's just like, what? Man to man. Nope, I didn't lie.
That's
I
why
told
this
Spencer.
gave me like major Ryan. Because Ryan would do the same thing. He
I
would
know.
always stick up too.
Yeah. He's like, what do I have to lose? You're
I'm not lying.
shady.
I'm not lying.
So he's like, do we have a problem with that? And Peter's like, well, how about you don't mention I actually asked you not to say something? And Toby's like, yeah, sure. Gotta go. So then Spencer sees her dad later on burning. He's about to throw it into the fire. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, that could be evidence. Like, we still don't know what the murder weapon is. Like, oh my God. And he's like, listen, remember when that trophy was also evidence? Like, making her seem like she's a liar.
Right.
That she fabricated, she planted this. And she's like, what are you trying to imply here? And he burns it, not hearing her. We don't really know what's going on in his mind, but do you think he's burning it for ulterior motives, or do you think he just thought Spencer was up to no good again?
Both. I think both of those can be related.
Yeah.
Covering for Spencer. And the whole trophy thing.
Right. Well, it was Melissa's that she gave to Spencer's.
Right.
Then Spencer let Allie borrow it.
Right.
So he could be
Right.
protecting both of his children.
Yes. Yes. And the whole trophy moment callback, I forgot about that.
Oh, absolutely. Because it didn't. I was like, why are we going there? If we would have made him look fishy, we would have been like, I'm burning it just in case, or he was acting weird because like maybe he knew something. But to bring up the trophy and make Spencer look like she's just lying about it, like why would I want Toby to find that? Like why would I put that there? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So then she goes to Toby because she's upset about the way her dad handled it and the accusations, and he's like, look, nobody thinks that you killed Allie. Nobody thinks you're capable of that. No one thinks you're trying to get attention. But now more than ever, she's like, I need to figure this shit out because she's like, now it's my name again. And my dad thinks this of me. So we have in this episode, she does talk to Garrett because Emily originally was talking to him, but she has no time for that. So he and her have a conversation where she asks about Logan Reed, and he's like, no, Emily kicked him out of town, like basically scared him. He goes to college at Hollis. He's nowhere to be found.
They're trying to talk to Logan to figure out the whole money situation because Spencer still feels like she can get her money.
No, they're talking to Logan. Well, I know. Why did she
because they
say
keep
that?
bringing up the money with the $10,000 for the ring.
No, $10,000 that Ian had taken out of his bank account when he was trying to leave town. Quote.
How much was the ring? 2,000, 3,000, 4,000.
How much did she get for the ring when she gave it to the pawn shop? I honestly don't remember.
She used that. Okay, you know what?
Yeah, so Logan.
Disregard my thoughts. Okay.
No, it's okay. No, it's so confusing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so Logan had literally just picked up a bag full of the cash that night. Didn't know who hired him. So that money, it's just so confusing because if it came out of Ian's bank account, people know that. Then how did Garrett get it to him? Garrett and Jenna, so we think, right? How did Garrett and Jenna give him that money that came out of Ian's bank account?
Right.
It's all very confusing, and even I don't know yet. So,
but she did mention the ring, right?
She did.
Okay.
But I don't remember exactly why. And I just like completely ignored it because I'm like, I'm ignoring this ring situation until it comes to the surface again. But anyway, so Logan, he's out of town, and we know this because Garrett paid him to leave town. And then he tells her, like, look, Ian was the last thread in this murder investigation, and like basically the case is closed. Don't expect there to be any updates for a while. And then after the hockey stick is found, she goes to Garrett again, and she's like, what's the murder weapon? Like, do the cops know what it is? And he's like, we personally, so he says, don't have that information. The only person that would have it would be at the coroner's office, and that's where the information would be. Like, just the, you know, the possibility, or like what they think exactly murdered her.
Because they don't know for sure, but we can speculate.
Right. And at this point, she gets a text from Aria, who's like, Garrett's a no-go. And Spencer's like, oh shit. A bit terrified because she's sitting in the car with him. All right. And then lastly, in OC fashion, again, we have Hannah and Emily having to share a room.
Yep.
For the writers, and making it easier, I'm sure, on everyone.
And we finally get to see Hannah's room.
I know, which is so cute. Very fitting of her.
Yeah.
A pipe has burst in the supposed guest room that this house has, but the girls have to share a room. They're very different in every way, and that makes them friends, you know. Like, Hannah's very loud when she studies, and Emily needs quiet. And they argue a bit about how to proceed, but ultimately they figure it out because Emily's like, I'm going to go to the library and you can study here. Vic asks, which roommate are we more like?
Probably Emily.
I'd say I'm more like Emily too.
Yeah. I'm a very conscious person when I have to share a room with someone.
Yeah, especially if like
mate.
You're a guest in someone's home. Yeah. You don't want to disrespect them, or I'd just be like, yeah, whatever you're doing is fine. Right. I'll go downstairs and study, baby. Or
right. Especially in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. They like just started living together.
Yeah.
So it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
But Emily, she's a great house guest, as we knew she would be. She's very grateful and making the ladies the breakfast exactly how they take it. And she's busy with her own stuff, like swimming. And she also has like increased her training. So she's super sore.
They keep showing that lotion.
Yeah, they keep showing her like putting on like, I guess, some like lidocaine cream or something like that. Yeah, we'll get more into that next week.
Oh, do we? Okay, because we saw at first
more soreness will happen next week.
Is this like product placement? Because we see the Tresemme shampoo bottles. And
oh yeah,
like the Costco size are on Hannah's vanity.
Yeah,
I was like, wow.
Get that sponsorship, you know?
Yeah, and then we just keep seeing Emily with this lotion, and she also brings it to school and puts it in her locker.
Yeah, she's like glued to this lotion. Yeah, she'll be sore again next week. But A knows that they're staying together because they sent a care package with a note telling them basically they'll keep an eye out. So Kate had sent an email about how she like kind of tried to research what was in the gift basket, which I loved. And she said that there's a stuffed animal of a pig and a stuffed animal of a lamb, she thinks. And she's assuming the pig is supposed to be Hannah.
Right.
What do you think the lamb represents in terms of Emily to A? I feel like timid or like bashful. I'm trying to think of like words to describe like a lamb, but
isn't like, we might have to cut this out. Isn't a lamb like sacrificial?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I think maybe the lamb is for sacrificial reasons, and it says it's a metaphorical reference to a person or animal sacrificed for the common good.
Yeah, I also found that it's a person who is gentle, meek, and innocent.
Right, so I think...
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they think Emily
totally
is.
Emily is, yeah.
Yeah. Mike adds, would you actually eat any of the candy that A had sent you?
No. Mm-mm.
No. Like, does A think that they're going to eat it? Like, what do they think they're going to do with it?
Yeah, no.
You know?
Mm-mm.
The last bit of the episode, we do have a very brief scene of Hannah and Emily witnessing Tom and Ashley hook up because they're kissing downstairs, and then they're like trying to be quiet. Obviously have been drinking. It seems like they're drunk, and she's walking him up to her room. So Britt asks, will Tom call off his wedding?
Probably, I guess. Although I could see him not, and then disappointing them all over again. Which he seems like he's kind of a POS, so I think that's what's coming.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not rooting for him.
No, neither am I. Ashley needs someone better. Hannah sees Caleb get stiffed at school to one of his clients, and he's pissed, and he tells her like forcibly, like, please do not meddle because I handle my own battles. Like, she tries to offer him money, and he's like, no, I'm good here. This is my job. You need to get used to it. And then we pan out and we see this black car just randomly.
Yeah.
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 So more on that.
Yeah.
And then later they have this like intimate conversation about Caleb's past, about how like, you know, he used to work in like the circles of these like hustlers, and they stole a car and he was involved and he would hack for them. But, you know, he's past that, but like he's not justifying that was his past. Like he's okay with that being his past, but you know, he still has a job to do. Like, this is how he makes his money, and he's not really ashamed of it.
Yeah, and he explains how he knows the difference between criminal and sketchy.
Right. And he's like, as we said, sketchy Tim Riggins. So he's sketchy, but what he's doing is sketchy, not criminal.
Also, him and Hannah are very much back on.
Yeah.
They hold hands. They make
They're
out.
about to like probably do a little something.
And I was very here for it, and I am excited. And also, he shares with her this story that he's never shared with anyone before. And then she later tells Emily about, you know I can't tell you. And I love Emily's like, I got enough secrets.
She's like, whatever. Just
I don't need to know more.
Whatever you need to tell me, you need to tell me. Because he's like, yeah, don't tell anyone. And then she immediately tells Emily, but not the details.
Not the details.
But she needs to tell someone.
Right. But Emily says it's nice that he shared it with you. And Hannah's like, it is really nice that he shared that with me.
Right. So it looks like they're back on.
Yeah.
Back on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have our just random last scene of A.
Okay, thank you. I've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
Explain this to me,
where
please.
A is filling up syringes with an unknown substance. That's really all that it is. We'll get into it more in the future, but that's what the scene is. They're injecting a serum, filling up syringes with a specific medicine or something.
Do we know what that is? Like, did Kate do any investigative?
No, they're very purposely not showing us what it is.
I was like, maybe
but we'll
don't
find
know.
out next week. Next week we'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad that's what my confusion was.
Yeah. Are you confused with anything else I can help you with?
No. You summed it all up. Like I said, the Hastings stuff was a little fuzzy, but I think it's supposed to be. We were like in the middle of all together trying to figure out what's going on with Peter and his relationship with
everyone.
sketchy shit, it seems.
Yeah.
And then that end scene with filling up the syringes. I was like, what is this?
I know. They just like the Tory Burch boots, this syringe, it's just like a random part of them showing what A is doing. And this is like, as I've teased in the past, like we have so many things of this that it's just like you either never have a callback to, or the callback's much later and you forget about it. You're like, wait, what's that about? So just all TBD. Gotta be in it to win it.
Okay. All right. Well,
this you'll know about next week.
Okay.
The Tory Burch boots, I can't confirm anything, but next week we will have. Well, when we come back from our winter break, we will have that confirmation.
Got it.
And we're just gonna take a short break, and we will be right back for your segments.
It's time for a quick break, Betty's, but the game is still on, and the secrets are piling up. Liz and Michelle will be right back to dive deeper into the tangled web of lies that keeps us all hooked.
We have a question about this break. I wish we could have Anonymous A tell us, but the break portion, was that supposed to be someone in the show, or is that just supposed to be a male announcer? A, let us know next week, okay?
Yes.
Thanks so much. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
And thanks to Vic for sending us that sweet message.
Thank you.
And thanks to Anella for her wonderful suggestion in our private voicemail.
Yes.
She knows what she's talking about.
Thank you so much. But you can send us a voicemail if that's something you want to do in the new year. Our number is
631-600-3916. Send us a little message. Or if you're A, send us a little... Well, I guess send us a message.
AI.
An AI. All right, so we're back with the Rosewood Shop. I can't wait to read this week's flavor paired with the episode. Thank you, Michael, for sending it. The flavor is Ben & Jerry's Mint Chocolate Chance. I know.
I love mint chocolate.
Mint ice cream loaded with fudge brownies. Mint is associated with freshness, and in this episode, there are a few new and fresh things happening. Even when I read that, I knew I was going to fuck it up, and I still fucked it up.
I've been there.
First, we have the new rubies, Emma. Oh, we're so close. Emily and Hannah. Hopefully this new arrangement stays sweet like fudge brownies. Toby finds an open, broken... Wow, I'm sorry, guys. Toby finds an... It doesn't help that my eye is pooling with water. Toby finds an old broken hockey stick, leaving Spencer thinking this is a new lead in Allie's case. Fresh off his promise to his sister, Mike gets caught breaking into another home. It looks like the cops let him go and gave him another chance. Hopefully he doesn't get messed up again. Speaking of giving another chance, Ashley is giving another chance to Tom. This will be a fresh new start in the relationship. Only time will tell.
Good one, Michael. Thank you.
Woohoo. Have you thought about MVP and shittiest?
Oh, yes, I have. Yes, let me grab. I did my homework. Okay. MVP?
MVP on 3.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, Toby. Yeah, it only makes sense.
Oh, he's so good.
He's been so good.
In like so many ways. Very much into Tobifer.
Me too.
Woohoo.
I loved him.
Very much into you, Toby.
Apparently I didn't pick a shittiest, but if I had to guess.
You want to do 3, 2, 1 shit?
Okay. Yeah.
3, 2, 1 Peter.
Oh, I was gonna say Garrett, but yeah, Peter.
Oh,
Peter.
Garrett
No, but
too,
Peter.
but Peter. Just like
Peter.
he might be up to fishy shit, but like I don't like the way he was speaking to Spencer.
Yeah.
Toby, I get like you got to do what you got to do, but like you're being shitty to your daughter.
Right. Not good.
Not good. No.
Would you rate this more than a 5 on a cringe?
Mm-mm.
No. Lower
I was thinking
scale.
like a 3. It really was the flashback scene for me.
Right? Okay. Which I did pick up on. I mean, like, I didn't particularly think it was a good scene.
And it's really just the exchange
Between Allie and Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So we give it like a 3.
It felt soap opera.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's
All right. 3 it is.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you the title for our next episode, which will be back on January.
I will tell you.
We recorded January 4th, but what's the following week?
So we'll be back on January 10th.
January 10th. Okay. So we'll be back recording this new episode on January 4th. We're taking a little hiatus, which means we'll be back on January 10th. So we're just wishing everyone very happy holidays, happy new year, and we're excited for 2024. I was just talking to my coworkers today. I was like, 2023 needs to end. It's just been, I mean, it's not been my year in so many things. I did get married this year. However, I'm like, so many illnesses and ailments going on with me in my life. So
I hear for health.
for health, not a good year.
Not a great year. I was the most sick I was this year, and I broke a rib.
Yeah, right.
Remember the McRib?
Remember that?
I think my tongue's green. Ew.
Oh, we had matcha.
Yeah, but you know, luckily we are alive and we are thankful for everybody.
Exactly.
And hopefully these colds will.
Right. These are just first world problems. Like no one needs to have them or nothing else to worry about.
Right. We are very grateful and
Very
thankful
grateful
for you guys, but we are excited for the new year.
Yeah. Very excited. Things to come. All right. So episode 8 of season 2 is titled Save the Date. And my secret is that Aria and Spencer sneak into the morgue to find the murder weapon details.
Save the date.
And it's called Save the Date.
Huh.
A save the date has gone out for something. Not the morgue.
Yeah, well, obviously.
Nothing to do with the morgue. Yeah.
Tom Save the Date.
Sure does.
Has gone out.
Sure does.
I think Hannah will get it. And Ashley, like it's sent to Hannah. Ashley will get it. Yeah. And Tom's going to have to figure out what he's going to do about that situation. He's not going to call it off.
Very good.
Yeah, that's
very, very
that
good.
is where I'm going with that. Sneaking into the morgue for the murder weapon. I feel like even though we can't trust Garrett, maybe we can use him.
Yeah.
And still use his resources. Mike, do we go back to Mike or is Mike done? in terms of all of this?
Like he's just moody next week, but we don't really go into like anything specifically like with him. Like his parents are just like, "What's up with you?" And he's like, "Bye."
Yeah.
He's just moody. He's just a moody teen that doesn't want to get into shit.
Okay. And then I think we're going to have more Jason and Aria talking on the side, and also the girls continuing being like, mostly Spencer, like, you can't trust him. I don't know why you're even giving him the time of day.
Right. What do you think? I know it's just Peter is shady, but now we have like a couple of things that we think we know about him, but
Well,
what do you think this means for like the bigger picture? If anything.
I still think Peter helped them out in some way in the past.
They owe him.
They owe him. And Jason wasn't supposed to come back, especially buy the house back. And now we're living so close.
Right. He's living next door again.
Yeah.
So
I think that definitely he's tied in with that and helped. What's Allie's mom's name?
Jessica.
I was going to say that. I was like, and that's why those two are at like wit's end.
Yeah.
We go back to Emily and this soreness.
We do. Yes, we do.
Are we going into like a pain addiction storyline with pills? Why not? Let's sprinkle that
Why
on.
not? I mean, that's a very typical teen drama storyline.
Why not? Let's do that so she can like make her numbers for the team. And I'm saying that like I have no idea how that works, but like let's make time. When does Paige come back? Did she come back season 2?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I'm just curious.
I don't know yet.
She comes back.
She comes back and like she stays for like a while,
Okay.
but I don't remember when. I think we have to like see out this Samara business
and Quinn
and
so hopeful for
you
Quinn.
know, before she comes back.
Yeah.
If I had to predict, I don't remember.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see more of like rubbing, ointment, pain med, and then we're going to go into pills.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm excited.
All right, me too. And we'll be back shortly.
Enjoy your break, guys.
Enjoy your break.
Yeah.
Happy, healthy, and just Happy New Year to all of our listeners.
Woohoo!
See ya. What'll be ya?